Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around.
Most pieces in pop music, most songs, are written in one tonality or one key, and they stay there from beginning to end. Most pieces in classical music, however, change keys because they're generally longer and because we would become bored listening to the same sound, the same scale all the time. When music changes tonality or key, it's said to modulate. Modulation is something akin to a change of musical scenery. We've moved to a different landscape or a different soundscape. Let me play some modulations here on the piano, some quick ones. So we're in this particular key. Now we're going to modulate. Now we're going to modulate. Now we're going to modulate, and so on, and so on. To demonstrate modulation in a piece from the world of classical music by Aaron Copland and one from the realm of pop music, a great piece by the Beach Boys, let's turn to a class video. All right, we have one more idea to talk about, and that is the concept of key and modulation. Now this piece by U2 is written in a key. It's got the home key here. It's an odd key. It's B flat minor. Ooh, 5 flats, B flat minor. But it nonetheless is a key. And the whole piece, at least the vast majority of it, is in that one key. Occasionally, composers will change keys. I was thinking I could play right for you here the Beethoven. He starts. So here we are in this minor key. And here he is in a new key. This is a major key here. So composers do change keys. And when they change keys, they affect what's called a modulation. Let's listen to an example of, do we have Copland up next? Okay, let's listen to an example of a pretty simple modulation affected by Aaron Copland, American composer working in New York City in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Wrote a ballet suite called Appalachian Spring, and in it he has one section where he's working through a series of variations on a folk tune called A Gift to Be Simple, and he pulls off a modulation. So let's listen to Copland's Appalachian Spring as he proceeds, and I'll kind of try to duplicate and go crazy up here at the piano at the moment we get to the modulation. Modulations are hard to hear. Modulations are hard to hear. The best you can do with it oftentimes is say, this is unsettled, maybe it's modulating. And I'm not even sure we would ask you, has the piece modulated? They're really kind of hard to hear. But let's try anyway. So here's a Copland modulation. So here he is in this key. Pause it right there. I think this is where the modulation comes. Then he's going to bring in he's sitting on this note, he brings in the trombones. And then the trumpet will jump off from there to a much higher. He was here, and now he's modulated up to here. So let's see if we can hear this modulation now. Here we go. We're going to pause it there. So that's a modulation. Conceptually, it's pretty straightforward, but it's hard to hear. I think I've got one that's easier to hear. It's a piece I like to use because it's just off the charts in terms of what other popular music was doing at that time. It's a piece by the Beach Boys. Beach Boys music is extremely interesting. You might think the California Airheads. No, 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 no. This is really musically just light years ahead of what everybody else was doing, I guess late 50s, early 60s. So what I've got here on the board is a harmonic scheme, and we're going to, once again for copyright reasons, just take little chunks of this. But you can see that it's a piece that uses a lot of triads. So every time you see a G up here, that means we have a chord built on G and a triad on E, triad on A, triad on F, D, E. And just looking at this isn't shaping out to be 1, 4, 5, 1. So it's moving around a lot. Then it gets to a section where it does get very boring. It's very static at that particular point. And then something of interest will happen. So let's listen to a little bit of this, and it's a piece in which there are contrasts between sections of movement with wild modulations and then sections of stases.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, round, 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 I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, I'm getting bug driving.
So here it gets very boring. And we're not going to even listen to it. It's just going to sit there, ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. I'm really hip and I'm having a great time. But then the text comes back to, I get around. So I think that's what I've had to parse this thing out into a Frankenstein. But let's listen to the next thing. I think we go back to the idea of I get around.
I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around.
More boring stuff at this point. But let's pick it up as we come to the end of what I think is this boring stuff, and we'll listen to what they do there. Go ahead. So they're sitting here in which yada ba 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 ba, where we want to go yada ba da ba ba. So what kind of cadence have they given us there? Deceptive cadence. Deceptive cadence, and that takes it up a half step, and then it jumps. As mentioned in class video, when we listen to music, usually we hear or sense that the music is modulating to a new key or a new tonality. We don't usually know where it's modulating to. When I listen to music, I often say to myself, oh yes, it's modulated. But where it's modulated to, I have no idea. To be able to say, oh well, it's modulated from F major to A major, you'd have to have what? You'd have to have perfect pitch or absolute pitch. But only one person in approximately 10,000 has that. So for the rest of us, the best we can say is, hey, the tonality or key center has changed. We've modulated.